Hello my sweet friends, and welcome to Lavender and Lace Living. I'm Alicia. Today I have a super easy, quick bagel recipe that you are not going to believe is gluten-free. These are absolutely incredible and you have to give them a try. Let's head into my kitchen and get started. Okay, I have quite a bit of sourdough discard that I need to use up. I intentionally fed my sourdough starter quite a bit so I would have enough of this discard for the recipes that I want to make this week. So the first one is a sourdough discard bagel, and these are gluten-free. Me and both of my kids have to eat a gluten-free diet, so I have figured out ways to make a lot of different things that we like to eat, and I am using this book for the recipe today. I found this on Amazon, so I will link this in the description box if you guys want to check it out. It has a lot of other recipes, not just the bagels. You can make crackers, banana bread, all kinds of different things in this, pancakes, crepes, just a lot of different things that you can choose from. But for today, I want to make the bagels. So all of the ingredients that you will need is, of course, your discard, and I am using the gluten-free bread flour, some maple syrup, some salt, an egg, and then I'll be using some warm water as well, and some baking powder. So let's get started mixing up our bagel dough. Alright, to get started with this recipe, you need 1.5 cups of your gluten-free bread flour. And about this flour, I did quite a bit of research on this before I actually started using it, because it contains wheat, is what it says on the back of the bag here. So that was a little confusing to me, because when you have to eat gluten-free, you can't have wheat. But apparently, you can use this bread flour if you have a gluten intolerance, like we have digestive issues if we eat gluten, but you cannot use this flour if you have an actual allergy. If you have an anaphylactic reaction to wheat, you will not want to use that bread flour. So just something to keep in mind. So that's my bread flour in there, and now I need 1 cup of my gluten-free sourdough discard. And if you guys would be interested in learning how to make your own sourdough starter, let me know in the comments, because this is one that I actually made myself, and I am very happy with how it turned out, and it worked great when I was getting that started. And I've actually been able to share this starter with a couple of other friends already. Let me grab a spatula here real quick, guys. I think I have all my stuff out, and then I don't have it when I need it. Just want to make sure I scrape all of that out. So I still have some discard left in my jar, and I am planning to make some chocolate banana bread another day this week, so I can hopefully share that recipe with you all. Alright, so there is that. Now we need a teaspoon of salt, and I usually don't measure my salt, I just put it out in my hand. A tablespoon of either maple syrup or honey. Today I decided to use the maple syrup, just because it pours a little bit easier than honey does. Alright, and now a teaspoon of baking powder. So I'm just going to whisk this a little bit until I get it combined somewhat, and then I need to add 1/2 cup of warm water, or sometimes you have to add a little bit extra liquid when you're using the gluten-free flours and things like that, because they really just soak up all of that moisture. And I have found that using gluten-free recipes and flour, I usually have to add quite a bit more liquid than what it says to. But I will start with the half a cup of warm water and go from there. So recently I have tried to start making more of the gluten-free things that we eat from scratch. One, because I know what is going in them. I know all of the ingredients, and I try to use organic as much as possible, but it is so expensive, so I do what I can in the organic department. And another reason that I want to try to make all of these things is gluten-free stuff is so expensive, you guys. If you have to eat gluten-free, you know exactly what I am talking about. Oh, and there's my phone. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that interruption. So I'm still just adding that water, and I was talking about how expensive gluten-free stuff is. And when we had to start doing this, my son was 5 years old. He's 19 now. So it was really hard to find a lot of gluten-free stuff then. And since that time, I have been able to make a lot of the things that we eat. Let's see, I do the bagels, tortillas, the sandwich bread that we eat, cinnamon rolls, cheese crackers, tortillas, crepes. I do a lot of different things. Buttermilk biscuits, that's one of our favorite things that we eat, and that's a recipe that I modified from the way that my granny taught me how to make biscuits. So I'm planning on sharing that with you guys. So I almost have this dough ready to go here. Finish mixing this up, and then we get to do the fun part, and that's shape the bagels. So I was talking, and I added a little bit too much water to my dough, so I added just a little bit more flour because you don't want it to be sticky. So now, once you get everything mixed up, I have just a little bit of flour here. You want to divide your dough out into 6 equal, or as equal as you can get them, portions. And this is the fun part. I like to play with dough. Any kind of dough, whether that's bread dough, Play-Doh. What other doughs do I like to play with? I like the thinking putty, anything that I can squish around. So once you have all of your dough divided out, you want to roll it, and then you want to just poke a hole in the center and shape your bagel. So the recipe says if you want a chewier bagel, you need to let these rest covered for 30 minutes before you boil them. So that's what I'm going to do. I like a chewier bagel. So we're just going to cover these and let these rest, and then we'll get them in the boiling water, and then we'll get them baked. So my bagels are done resting, and while they were resting, I did go ahead and just put a pot of water on the stove, and I turned that up to about high and then turned it down once it started boiling, because after these have rested, you do want to let them boil about 30 seconds per side. And I don't add all of these at the same time. I do about half of them, let them cook for about their 30-second time, flip them, and then I'll do the other 3 and get them ready to go in the oven. I did let my bagel sit for just a couple of minutes on that cooling rack just to drip off some of that excess water from boiling them, and I just placed them on a parchment lined baking sheet, and I had made a simple egg wash with just 1 egg and just a little splash of cold water. Just mix that up well and just brush that onto the top of each of my bagels with my little silicone brush, and I added some everything bagel seasoning to the top of these. Sometimes I'll leave them plain and sometimes I will add that seasoning. It just depends on what mood I'm in that day, so you can do whichever that you would like to do. And once I have these brushed with my egg wash and seasoned, they are ready to go in the oven. And I had preheated my oven to 400 degrees. You want to let these bake for 20 to 25 minutes, just until they are golden brown. And these smelled amazing, you guys. I wish that you could just take a whiff of this, and it's just so good it makes your mouth water. These are the perfect bagel, and I like to let these cool completely, and I just store them in the freezer, and once they are thawed, that is when I slice them. These are perfect for bacon, egg, and cheese bagels in the morning, and if you opt to leave off that everything bagel seasoning, they are great with any kind of flavored cream cheese as well. I hope you guys decide to give this recipe a try. If you do, please let me know in the comments below. Please like today's video if you enjoyed this recipe. Hype and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you guys in the next one.